Beloved star, warmest welcome to Elven Pod episode 75. And in this one, I'd love to share about the shift that's taking place at this point in our Ascension cycle. And in the Elven cycles of light, we move into the Bluebell Moon. So an Elven Aurora within our magical membership portal, our beautiful Ascension space. We are traveling from the Primrose Moon into the Bluebell Moon. And that's one of these, oh my gosh, once again, one of these exquisite shifts in the soul star energetics. And when I say in the soul star energetics, I mean the way that our soul star, our immortal starlight, I am presence, fuses in phases of architectural intelligence with Earth, as new Earth, coming in here through the solar cycle of the year. And at each phase of that cycle, there's a different quality of the way that our soul star is arriving here. And in the Primrose Moon, it's very much about the fusion of our aura, our auric field, with the white golden lattices of light of new Earth. And if you like, through the first phase of the year, since the solstice, since the December solstice, when the new cosmic instructions pour through for Earth and for all the realms, the new bandwave of potentiality and of light and of lighted expression, that as that pours in through from solstice, the Earth, ever since that moment, ourselves and the Earth have been preparing, have been drawing that through into our core, our DNA here transforming, our auric fields transforming. And the Primrose Moon is the moment when we get to actually interfuse with the Earth. She has transformed, we've transformed, we're vibrating into the new bandwave of light, and we meet, we come together. And the Bluebell Moon that follows is the moment when we get to begin to be the actions of the soul star. So it becomes a time and the beginning of the cycle of manifestation. And it's not that we weren't manifesting before, because this isn't some super linear process where where a certain action belongs only to each part of the cycle, but rather that the actions that belong to this new bandwave of light at a certain level of vibrational, physical, cellular realization, that this is the point in the cycle where overall that begins. And so we will have had moments of manifestation before, but this actual physicalized vibration of this new bandwave of light and the way that we manifest as this is what's now really coming in, and you'll be noticing it in yourself. So I'd love to speak about a shift within that I'm finding absolutely fascinating, and I'm very much in observation of this and learning with it in the now. It's really interesting, and that is partly the guidance that I'm receiving. That's the context for this, is that this moon is very much the moon of this time around, of the evolution of our claircognizance. So I spoke previously during the Primrose Moon of our clair senses, and working through the clair senses that are the inner dimensionality of our physical senses. So we come with the Bluebell Moon, we shift into a focus on our claircognizance, because all of our senses, inner and outer, are recalibrating to be able to catch the information that belongs to this new bandwave of light. So you might notice as the year begins, it's just all very mysterious. Like you can feel at some level this new light quality, but it's as though it's not yet in the body, and it's very hard to give any words to that, or to really solidify the impression of it in any way. And that's because our bodies and their senses, both more subtle and more overt, don't yet have the capacity. They can't read that bandwave of light because they don't yet belong to that frequency bandwave. So as it downloads through our bodies, we get to begin to be able to sense, to consciously sense the information of this new bandwave of light. So we're always, from the moment it comes in, we're interacting with it, but just in all of these different ways. And it's quite fascinating how we do redesign ourselves infinitely, multidimensionally. We will adapt and function through the different lensing at the different phases. So at this one, so to come to the heart of what I love to share today, we are working with our claircognizance now. That's more where there's a potentiality for you to evolve this. Now, your claircognizance is your clear knowing. It's that knowing that drops in and it's just there. It's as though there's not much of a vision or even perhaps words or hearing, anything like this, or through any of the other senses that comes. Although, let me just put a caveat in there. We do have this, which is very natural and actually very frequent and normal, this facility for what I call synesthesia, which is the blending of our senses. So your claircognizance may come in with a nuance of another one. But there will be, when claircognizance is functioning, so while you might get, yes, there may be a visionary aspect or an auditory aspect, smell, taste, all these others I spoke of, that may come in with it, there will still be an aspect of this claircognizance, even when there's another clair involved. And that is this quality of a knowing that is simply there. And you can feel its different vibratory quality. Often it just feels very clear. And for myself, it feels quite unannounced. It's almost like there are no bells. There are no blinding flashes of light that come with it. It's as though this clear and simple knowing without fanfare is there within consciousness. And it's often the choice about whether to honor that or not, whether to take it seriously, because it can seem quite simple, quite plain in a sense, just there within awareness. But this moon, what is interesting is that however each one of us experiences our claircognizance, and whether it's even active for you or not, this is a moon through this next coming few weeks. We're going to be experiencing an upgrade of that faculty, of that clear knowing, so that that clear knowing is actually conductive of the information of this new bandwave of light. And as I've shared this year, it's all about our seventh dimensional and beyond creator state, knowing ourselves as pure energy, as vast light creating itself into form, and knowing that we have the capacity to choose what we express. And our body is coming to know that that's what they are, which is extraordinary. So with that, there is a very interesting teaching coming in this moon. So our claircognizance is going to start, our clear knowing is going to start getting the information that belongs to that bandwave of you as star creator, vast light, knowing yourself as energy creating itself into form, and knowing the actions that belong to that timeline, knowing the actions that belong to that expression, and then doing them. So this is the moon where we gravitate into this. And okay, so I'm getting lots of information coming in as I say this. So what they want me to share is that one of the things we'll notice is you may notice the interval for yourself this moon, that it's collapsing between when you receive a knowing, a bit of information, and when you go ahead and do it, when you follow through on it. And what you might notice is sort of any prolonged processing you've had in the phases between those things, whether it's emotional, psychological, physical, however it's been, that process between when you receive the information, the knowing, and when you act upon it, that is going to be getting much quicker. However it's been kind of attenuated or stretched out for you, that is going to be collapsing in and becoming much simpler, much more direct, a much, if you like, quicker process. So that's a beautiful bit of information coming in. I love that. And I'm already witnessing that. So again, this may be echoes of things you're already seeing. And with that, so I'm just getting another piece coming in that they're gifting right now. We may get the theme of old sorrow that we have around our own either inability to know clearly or our inability to follow through on what we know. So what we may get in consciousness is witnessing the old attenuation or overextension of that process, and it being a bit laggy or a bit heavy or a bit difficult for us, or just slower than it needs to be. So you may get a little bit of a, almost, they're showing it to me like an echo, as though that might play through like an echo that may seem very, very real, the hologram of that kind of behavior pattern. Perhaps old patterns of skepticism or doubt, this kind of thing. And wanting to stay invisible, not follow through to allow the knowing to manifest and become visible in this world, to follow through and let it become actualized and real. So if you've got old patterns like this, which so many of us do, just noticing that those might play through in awareness, and it'll be like a hologram playing through. And what you'll notice is, and you might get this in dream time. So my dream time has been really active at the moment. It's almost like in my dream time, I experience the new timeline version of myself. And then sometimes during the day, I play out old timeline versions before I come into a synchronization with that new timeline, which has been kind of fascinating. So being given the advanced viewpoint of the acceleration I'm moving with, then a kind of a review of my old timeline modes, and then I synchronize into the new in my embodiment. So it's a similar process with our this kind of witnessing how we may have experienced a bit of lagginess, a bit of slowness in the past, and you might have thoughts like, oh gosh, I don't want to experience that again, a bit of dread around, oh, I don't want to meet that timeline, that reality where it just feels like the energy isn't free for that, really creating what I love, creating on that knowing, being in that knowing, receiving that knowing. So, and in fact, what you'll be noticing is simultaneous to the hologram of that kind of floating through is the awareness that you really can do this in a completely different way. And that the awareness of the availability to you of something much smaller, as I say, this kind of collapsed experience where it's all just much smoother and more immediate. So just paying attention to, because if you don't let yourself get swallowed up by either end of the experience, but stay witness to both, then you can have this upgrade, if you like, without experiencing it as a kind of push-pull and going between two things. So our claircognizance, to come to this. So the upgrade of our claircognizance so that it's in attunement with this level of our star creator self, knowing we're vast light, creating ourselves into form. So receiving the knowing of that. So say, I know it's time to record the pod right now, and actually simply doing that. So both the receiving of the knowing and what it is I'm to record, letting that knowing in, and then the action that follows. So this playthrough of our knowing and trusting it, experiencing it, trusting it, acting upon it. And this is the last bit of what I'd love to share in this pod today. So in order for this to function smoothly, what to me in my conscious mind is a bit of an unexpected connection has been brought in. But I do believe that this, my greater mind sees it, but not my full conscious mind yet. So I'll share this and see, you might see the parallels even more clearly than I'm seeing them at the moment. So what I'm seeing is that, and being shown in my experience a great deal, is that in order for our claircognizance to function at its clearest, we really need to clear out that part of our mind that responds to things as a should or a shouldn't. So it's that very quick snap we can make. It's a polarity mind, but it goes, oh, this shouldn't be happening, or this should be happening, or they shouldn't behave like that, or this shouldn't be my reality, or they should do that, or I should be this. Okay, so I'm just running through lots of variables of that. I'm trying to put some of the feeling tone that comes with it when we're in that consciousness. So I've had lots of events happening in the last few days, perhaps a week, where ordinarily my response to them would have been similar to that. At some level, I would have responded, gosh, this shouldn't be happening. This isn't part of my timeline I'd love to be experiencing. This isn't part of the reality I'd love to be experiencing. This isn't how I want it to be. This isn't how I think it should be. These kind of thoughts, situations that would have prompted that, like strongly. And I wouldn't always experience that as a super judgmental or, really obviously low vibrational form of judgment consciousness. It doesn't necessarily function quite like that. It's often felt like it calibrates as, a sense of justice, of guardianship, of what is aligned, of what is true, of what is good. It's functioning at that kind of a level, and yet still carrying that bandwave, that expression of should or of shouldn't. And whether I say that out loud or I'm just feeling it within myself. So it's those moments to pay attention to, because those are the moments when we're resisting reality. And we're resisting it with consciousness. We're resisting it with our mind. And we are using our mind. We're using consciousness. We're using our cognitive faculty. This is where our claircognizance links in. We're using it to perceive reality as something that should or shouldn't exist. And what they're showing me at the moment is that is a misuse of that faculty. From the seventh dimensional, if we want to gravitate to this level of knowing ourselves as vast light creating itself into form, and our mind knowing that we are vast light creating itself into form, then there is a subtle yet powerful adjustment in that kind of moment and that kind of experience, which is, this simply is. It's not a should or a shouldn't. This simply is. So whether this experience is wonderful and I think it should be happening and it should be what my ascension is, or it's something I think shouldn't, it's like releasing all of that, both those reactions, all of that interpretation, all of that way of knowing, again and again within the heart of the moment, and realizing there is no should or shouldn't about this. It simply is. And in the heart of that simply is, I have the power to respond and to choose. And my response, my choice, is not based on a should or a shouldn't. It's based on the clear cognizance, the clear knowing of my I am presence, star creator soul, that is choosing what to express here. It's coming from another level. So if that's a reality that I'm saying that a no to, my clear cognizance comes to me as a clear no. That's not coming because I'm saying, no, that shouldn't exist. It's coming because that is a no that belongs to my own I am, an oversoul presence. That is not part of my expression in the now. That is not part of my circle in the now. And it's coming clear from that level. And it is a loving, neutral, clean, and powerful awareness. And equally, if it's what I might judge as a positive experience or a should, it's like equally realizing that's not what it's about. It's simply about, this is part of what I am creating, what I am choosing, when I'm saying a yes in my choice, and I'm knowing a yes in my choice, in my claircognizance, that it simply is a yes. It is what I am creating as part of that which I am, as part of that which is my reality. So this is a level that is, I'm experiencing this, presenting and being given the guidance. This is a big theme and a big mastery through this moon. And letting, as we let this begin to function more and more cleanly, what we're getting is that upgrade of our claircognizance. It's getting to function at the level it's meant to. And what is really stunning about this is, so I had this sequencing with an event that occurred where something I normally would have really gone into a big no, this shouldn't be happening or shouldn't exist, this isn't right, which is a nervous system response for me. It's actually something that the body experiences as well as the mind. I didn't respond to it at that level. It was really extraordinary. I could see that again, a bit like that hologram playing through, there was echoes of that, but almost just observing it. But knowing and know coming from within me, from this much more neutral place. And this claircognizance, this ability to very clearly in this situation speak my truth from a place that was absolutely non-polarized and a pure expression of that which I am and that which I express into this dimension, into this world, through my free will choice as that star creator. And able to honor the existence of the other reality without treating it as should or shouldn't, but simply being clear in my choice point. So it was absolutely fascinating to witness that. But what I'd love to share as I complete the pod on the last note is, as a result of that response, I then received through the last days multiple successive layers of information from that event, from that interaction and occurrence, where I was given so many more gifts from the non-dual viewpoint about the gifts of what I was learning through that occurrence, through that interaction. And lots of very different, very startling in a sense, really pure, vast waves of information coming in through it, because there'd been the absence of that resistance and the absence of that shouldn't, which it would have been in that case, that shouldn't, and then me having to wade through the polarity ripples of that. So this is a kind of next level for our claircognizance, and it's a beautiful thing, of course, for us to affirm everything is divinely perfect just as it is, to give gratitude for our realities, for whatever occurs, for the challenges as well as the good things. Now, that's a really valuable, really powerful practice without a doubt. All of that gratitude, all of that being present with what is, and really treating reality with faith, with trust, with a sense it's divinely perfect. And in a sense, this level of star creator consciousness and this level of our claircognizance is that, but it goes even deeper and more immediate, because it really goes beyond the viewpoint that anything is either inherently right or wrong, good or bad, should or shouldn't be. It goes even deeper than seeing it through that, the divinely perfect is all is good just as it is. It's as though all is good. It's not even saying that. It is at a level, but it goes even deeper and clearer, which is that it simply is. It simply is as it is. And there is within that the free will choice to choose, to respond. So you might find within this, as this moon evolves, part of the invitation to keep asking yourself and observing is it possible now for me to be really liberated in my response to things that would have really affected me before? Because when we respond with all of that should and shouldn't and all of this, it takes up a lot of energy, a lot of emotional energy, a lot of mental energy. And with this other process, we are using up much less of all of that and getting a much smoother, clearer experience that's also more powerful, because we're not equally, we don't resist our own truth, and we get the flow of the deeper truth, the clear cognizance of the deeper truth we carry beyond the polarity, able to come through and express through us. So that star creator is really coming through, really expressing in the living now moment with great empowerment and guiding the path of manifestation. So really do observe this moon. It'll be a beautiful one to see how this goes for us, but how much energy is freed up for this and by this, and just noticing, gosh, things that would have affected me before, gosh, they're really not taking my energy. They're really not involving me. And I'm able now to get this expanded experience in other areas. And it's a much deeper level of knowing and of truth and of manifestation that energy is freed up for. So much love as we embark on this Bluebell Moon. And if you feel called to join our beautiful Aurora, where we'll be traveling through all of the deep transmissions and alignments with this incredible new wave of energy, then you are so welcome to join. And all blessings on your most beautiful path of the earth and the stars. Nyarara Tonyan Teria Thien.